What would you do if you found a crying baby abandoned alone on a deserted road? For Tu Diem and Toan, this unexpected discovery turns their peaceful life upside down. From the quiet moment of rescue to the chilling realization that they are being watched, their home becomes a battleground to protect a fragile infant named In. As they unravel a dark trafficking conspiracy, danger lurks closer than ever. Join us as we dive into this gripping story of courage, love, and survival. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to follow every twist and turn. It was a quiet, unassuming afternoon when Tu Diem decided to take a walk along the secluded country road near her home. The sun was hanging low in the sky, casting a gentle golden glow over the fields and trees that lined the narrow path. After a long and stressful day at work, the peacefulness of the empty road was a welcome relief. The soft rustle of leaves and the occasional chirping of birds filled the air, creating a serene backdrop that helped soothe her frazzled nerves. As she strolled slowly, her mind drifting from one thought to another, a sudden, faint sound broke through the calm, a delicate, almost fragile cry. It was a baby's cry. The sound was so unexpected that it made her stop in her tracks. She scanned her surroundings with a mixture of surprise and concern, but there was no one else in sight. The cry came again, a little louder this time, and it seemed to be coming from the side of the road, near a small cluster of bushes. Her heart quickened as she hurried toward the source of the noise. Pushing aside some branches, Tu Diem's eyes widened in shock and disbelief. There, lying inside a battered cardboard box, was a tiny newborn baby wrapped in a thin, worn-out blanket. The infant was crying, eyes scrunched tight against the discomfort of cold and hunger. The baby's delicate fingers twitched, and its breath came in uneven gasps. There was no one else around, no sign of a parent, no bag or belongings, only the silent emptiness of the road. A wave of emotions washed over Tu Diem, shock, fear, and an overwhelming sense of responsibility. She knew she couldn't just leave the child there, vulnerable and alone. Without hesitation, she carefully lifted the fragile baby from the box, cradling the little body close to her chest. The warmth of her own body seemed to comfort the infant, whose crying gradually softened into quiet whimpers. As she wrapped the baby more securely in her coat, Tu Diem's mind raced with questions. Who had left this helpless child here? Why had they abandoned the baby in such a lonely place? And most urgently, what would she do next? She looked around again, hoping to see someone, any sign that the baby's family might be nearby, but the road remained deserted. With determination, she started walking briskly back toward her home, clutching the infant tightly. The weight of the baby in her arms was light but profound, like holding a fragile hope amidst uncertainty. Every step seemed to echo with the silent promise she made then, to keep this child safe, no matter what it would take. By the time she arrived, Tu Diem was breathing hard but resolute. She called Toan, her husband, to tell him what she had found. Hearing the urgency and emotion in her voice, he rushed home immediately. Together, they prepared a warm space for the baby, fetched clean blankets, and tried to soothe the little one's cries. Their home, which had once felt so ordinary, was suddenly filled with a new purpose and a tender urgency. The baby, still too small to understand, was now safe and cared for. Yet, the mystery of the child's origin hung heavily over them. There were no identification papers, no notes, no clues, only a fragile life that had been entrusted to them on a lonely country road. What dangers had this child escaped? Who was searching for her? And what would happen next? Tu Diem sat quietly, holding the sleeping infant, her thoughts swirling with hope and fear. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew one thing with absolute certainty: this child had changed their lives forever. And no matter the challenges ahead, she was ready to face them, because sometimes, the most unexpected encounters bring the greatest gifts. As the evening settled in, the gentle quiet of their home was punctuated only by the soft breathing of the sleeping infant nestled in Tu Diem's arms. Toan had returned just moments before, his face a mixture of concern and determination. The unexpected arrival of the baby had shifted the atmosphere of their home from peaceful to tense, charged with an urgent sense of responsibility neither had anticipated. Toan quickly sprang into action, gathering warm blankets and preparing a bottle, while Tu Diem sat quietly, watching the delicate rise and fall of the tiny chest before her. Once the baby was cleaned and fed, they sat together in the living room, sharing whispered thoughts and worries. The child's sudden appearance was like a riddle with no answer. They had no clues about where the baby had come from, no paperwork or identification, nothing but the thin blanket that had wrapped her when they found her. That realization deepened their unease. Who could have abandoned such a fragile life in the middle of nowhere? And why? Their concerns soon escalated beyond the mystery of the child's origins. Over the next few days, subtle but undeniable signs made it clear they were not alone in this. It began with small things: a shadow glimpsed from the corner of an eye, a car that lingered suspiciously near their house, unfamiliar faces appearing in the neighborhood. At first, they tried to dismiss it as coincidence, but the unsettling feeling grew stronger by the hour. One night, as Tu Diem sat rocking the baby to sleep, she heard a faint knock on the door. Heart pounding, she peeked through the peephole but saw no one. Moments later, a soft rustling sound came from the garden. Toan, alerted by the noise, grabbed a flashlight and cautiously stepped outside, scanning the darkness. The beam landed on footprints freshly imprinted in the dew-covered grass, unmistakably recent. Whoever it was had been watching them. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, Toan took immediate steps to protect his family. He contacted a trusted friend who worked in local law enforcement, quietly explaining the circumstances and asking for discreet surveillance. They installed a security camera at the entrance and set up an alert system to notify them of any unexpected visitors. Yet, despite the precautions, a growing tension gripped them both, the sense that danger was closing in, threatening the fragile peace they had fought so hard to create. Meanwhile, 2DM struggled with a whirlwind of emotions. She loved the baby fiercely, but the looming threat forced her to wrestle with fear and uncertainty. How could they keep the child safe? What kind of people would abandon a newborn, and why would they come searching now? Sleepless nights became common as she imagined all the worst possibilities, her maternal instincts clashing with the unknown dangers that surrounded them. Through whispered conversations and shared glances, Toan and 2DM found strength in their partnership. They promised each other that no matter what, they would stand together and protect the baby as if she were their own. Their lives, once predictable and orderly, had been irrevocably altered. But amid the chaos and unease, a profound sense of purpose had emerged. This child, a stranger found on a lonely road, had awakened something in them both, a fierce resolve to shield innocence from harm. As the days turned into a tense routine of vigilance and care, they began to investigate more actively. Toan reached out to hospitals, shelters, and local authorities, hoping to find any report of a missing infant. 2DM searched online forums and social media, posting discreet notices in case anyone was looking for the child. But no one came forward. No lead emerged. Then came the chilling realization: this was not a simple case of a lost or abandoned baby. The more they dug, the clearer it became that the infant was connected to something far darker. Pieces of information whispered among their contacts hinted at the existence of an organized crime network, a group involved in the trafficking of children. The baby they had found might be one of many victims caught in this cruel web. With that knowledge, their sense of urgency intensified. Toan vowed to protect the child at all costs, refusing to let her become another lost soul in a dangerous game. And 2DM, though frightened, drew on a well of courage she hadn't known she possessed. Together, they prepared to face whatever threats lay ahead, united by a love that had blossomed in the unlikeliest of circumstances. The more Toan and 2DM uncovered about the baby's origins, the more chilling the truth became. The quiet village they had called home suddenly seemed like the epicenter of a dangerous underworld. Whispers of an underground trafficking ring, operating under the radar and exploiting the most vulnerable, echoed through the contacts Toan had in law enforcement. The infant they had rescued was not just an abandoned child, she was a small piece in a vast and brutal network that dealt in human lives. Determined not to let fear paralyze them, Toan and 2DM delved deeper into the mystery. Days blurred into nights as they pieced together fragmented information, coded messages, secret drop-off points, and rumors of children disappearing from neighboring towns. The couple realized that the baby's presence in their lives was no accident. She was being hunted, and those who sought her would not hesitate to use force to get her back. Their home, once a sanctuary, became a fortress. Doors were locked at all hours, windows reinforced, and trusted friends kept watch. Every unexpected sound, a car door slamming, footsteps on gravel, set their hearts racing. The tension was suffocating, yet beneath it lay a growing bond between Toan and 2DM. In the face of danger, they found strength in each other, united by a shared purpose that transcended fear. At the same time, their emotional connection with the baby deepened. They named her in, meaning peace, a hopeful wish for the fragile life they were fiercely protecting. Each small smile, each quiet breath, reminded them of what they were fighting for. And was no longer just a child they had found, she had become the heart of their family, binding them together in a way they had never imagined. But the shadows closed in relentlessly. One evening, a threatening message was slipped under their door, a simple note warning them to return the child or face the consequences. The anonymous threat sent a cold shiver down their spines. It was clear the traffickers were watching, growing impatient, and willing to escalate the situation. Faced with such a dire predicament, Toan and Tu Diem reached out to the authorities, sharing everything they had learned. The police launched a discreet investigation, but bureaucracy and limited resources meant progress was slow. Frustrated yet undeterred, the couple took matters into their own hands. They contacted a trusted private investigator known for handling delicate cases involving missing children and underground crime. Together, they strategized ways to protect and expose the trafficking ring. Their days became a whirlwind of caution and courage. Toan adjusted his work schedule to stay home more often, while Tu Diem balanced caring for and with gathering information and networking with activists fighting child exploitation. They knew their lives had changed forever, no longer just a couple living peacefully, but guardians in a high-stakes battle to save an innocent life. Throughout this ordeal, the community began to notice the couple's unusual circumstances. Some neighbors offered support quietly, while others eyed them with suspicion, wary of getting involved. But Toan and Tu Diem refused to let isolation weaken them. They drew strength from the small circle of allies and from the growing love they felt for an, whose presence brought light even in the darkest moments. One night, as they sat together watching and sleep peacefully in her crib, Tu Diem whispered, "We may not have chosen this path, but we have to walk it. For her. For the hope she represents." Toan squeezed her hand gently, his resolve mirrored in his eyes. "We'll protect her. No matter what." Their commitment was unbreakable, their hearts intertwined with the fragile child who had arrived on a quiet road one ordinary afternoon. The battle ahead would be difficult and uncertain, but armed with love, courage, and each other, Toan and Tu Diem were ready to face whatever darkness lay ahead, determined to rewrite Anne's story from one of danger to one of hope and safety.